Well, welcome everybody to Thought Leader Friday. We are really pumped to have my great friend Jean Rioux here of the Jiva Yoga Center. Before we welcome Jean to tell a little bit about her story, Debbie's here too. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, guys.
Thankful to have you here as always. So I got to tell a quick little funny story about how Jean and I met, and I didn't prep her for this. So I think I first met you and Ken back in late 2011, maybe early 2012, and yoga was completely foreign to me at that point in time. And my perception of it at that point in time was it was like really flexible ladies standing on their heads and people doing chants of some sort. And I saw this thing, though, that Ken was doing, and you may remember this. Ken did a Saturday morning session called Yoga for Dudes.
Yeah.
And it was all about guys coming and being guys and kind of understanding yoga and being okay with the awkwardness that was that. And so I came to that, and it was me and maybe 10 other guys, and have been in love with the idea of yoga and the exercise itself ever since. It is amazing to me the amount of work that can be done in a space the size of a beach towel. So I'm excited for you to share your perspective with our crew on everything today. And so I guess let's first help the group understand who you are and what your background is coming into this. And maybe tell us a quick version of the Jean story, please.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I didn't realize you did a Yoga for Dudes class. I think that's amazing. And how many of those dudes have segued into regular practitioners? So that's super great. Yeah. But hi, everybody. I'm Jean Rioux. I started Jiva Yoga Center in 2001, a long time ago, almost 2 decades. It's crazy. And I started because I just really loved yoga, and it just really spoke to me. I've always was a big half marathon runner. I was a real physical aerobics teacher, personal trainer. I just love that physicality. But yoga did something a little different, which is really sweet along with that. So I'm a massage therapist for, 25 years now. And the practice of yoga really partnered well with that field. So I just kind of started learning, discovering new ways, doing lots of trainings, being inspired by a lot of really great teachers. And I just want to share it with so many people, as many people as I could. Whatever you're super lit up about, it's just I was so lit up about it, and I still am, but I just want to share it. So I started Jiva, really teeny tiny, and just kept expanding it. And we ended up getting too big for our space where we started, and we're here now in a new space. And the community is just amazing. I have 25 awesome teachers now that work with us. We have a chiropractor and other massage therapists. So it's a really beautiful healing center. People have connected here at Jiva. People have moved to Hilton Head based on their new friendships they've made at the studio, because it's just another connecting point for people. So, the thread through my whole life has been, I love connecting people. It's so awesome to see people meet that didn't know each other before. They become great friends, or one person can help someone else out. So just the community aspect of it just really lights me up. And so that's what really feeds me. So it's challenging right now not to have that right here in front of me,
Well, you mentioned so many interesting connection points that I'm sure resonate with the folks who are watching this today. It's predominantly, as you know, real estate agents, real estate sales teams, broker owners of firms that are watching this. And so there's this interesting people connection in the work that we do and in the value that we're able to add to people. So as you alluded to, not only do you know this really well, you've built a business around it. And I know a number of the folks that are clients of ours who vacation here come and pop in on classes from time to time. So before we kind of get into doing a little bit of Q&A on the front end, I'll lay some groundwork for those of you who are watching the video. And then Debbie, I'm going to come to you to start our questioning. If you've participated in Thought Leader Friday before, you know that usually we do the Q&A at the back end of it. And today we're going to do Q&A at the front end because Jean has some really exciting work that she's going to do with you toward the back end of today's discussion. Along the way, as you're learning things either about yourself or you're learning through Jean, feel free to go ahead and drop some comments in because we'd love to know the impact that this is having on you, either externally or internally. So Debbie, get us kicked off with a little Q&A if you don't mind. What would we like to ask Jean about this morning?
Oh, sure. Yeah, thanks. Hi, guys. Hi, Jean. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Just in thinking about mindfulness overall, I know a lot of us are running really busy, hectic schedules right now, and sometimes that mindfulness piece is getting missed. So when you think about mindfulness, why mindfulness, and what are some ways that maybe we can be more mindful and create that space in our day?
Wonderful. Good question. Simple benefits of mindfulness can be just ways of creating a pause in your thoughts into a reaction, whether it's something with your children or how you're feeling about what's going on right now. Allowing yourself space to be more calm, more centered, even if it's for 3 deep breaths, will help you shift your whole perspective, because you're not reacting. You're not just instantly having a hit and then reacting to it, like that whole dopamine resonation. But so creating a space between action and reaction can be so valuable in every level, especially right now, for sure. Yeah, to start with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've heard it said before, and maybe Jean, you'll get into this in a minute, that we can't always control what we think, and we can control how we react to it. So as you're thinking about that little space that lives in between that, do you have maybe just a quick piece of advice or a thought on something that we might be able to do to put a little space in there?
Yeah, well, it's simply just pausing what you're doing. You can close your eyes or just focus on an object on your coffee table or at your desk, and take 3 slow, deep breaths in and out through your nose, which will instantly put your body more in a calm state, like a parasympathetic state, out of that fight and flight mode. And so from that space of that simple calmness, then it's like you just open the curtains for the first time in the day. It's just a beautiful day. Things are clearer. And then you can make your decision based on that space, as opposed to this space in the head. So mindfulness really takes us out of all of our craziness in our mind, basically, and bringing it into our bodies. So we can live up here and try to make our decisions from our head all the time. Like, you can't think your way out of a problem, they say. You have to be able to be breathing and feel physicality. And then your results and answers will come more clearly, in my experience. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So when I tell my kids to count to 3, I'm actually doing it right. Is that what you're saying?
That's for you and them. Maybe.
Right. Yeah. I have to count to 10. I don't know about 3. I have to count to 10. So one of the things we were talking about in preparing for this is this topic of adversity. And adversity, of course, has varying degrees of perspective for everyone. Yet I think we'd probably all agree that there's a little more adversity that we need to overcome in today's world than maybe there was 2 or 3 months ago. So if I'm sitting here watching this, or I'm interacting with you, and I were to say, Jean, what can I do to sort of work through adverse situations? What advice might you give to that?
Good question. Yeah, and I don't have, everybody's going to work through their situations differently, because we all have different challenges or different responsibilities. So number 1, I would say having compassion for ourselves, for what our responsibilities are and what we're working with. And then also the whole thing about walking in another man's shoes, allowing compassion to be for the other person, so we don't just spew our advice on them. So holding space for all of us, including each other, ourselves, to be with what's going on, and to be clear, become more mindful about what's going on and what our responsibilities are, so that we can make the correct decision for ourselves first. But then as a whole community of realtors, community of people on this Hilton Head Island or wherever we live, making those decisions that are good for us can be good for everybody.
Sure.
Answer that, as opposed to being what's right for me right now. I'm going to hoard toilet paper, so I'm going to be okay, or whatnot. But it's what's going to be good for me, then that ripple effect, well, then I can help other people, and I can be generous if I can be generous in service of other people.
Yeah. Let's build on that for just a second. And Debbie, I'm going to come back to you for another question. So you talk about compassion, for other people. And one of the things I think about in sessions that I've been in with you and your team is this idea of focusing on us doing the best work that we're capable of doing and not getting too hung up in the fact that I can't do a headstand and then the person next to me is like contorting their body in ways that I didn't even know was possible. How do I not get caught up in what's happening next to me and just focus on me being the best version of me?
Yeah, that's a good question too. And that also comes in that whole mindfulness factor. The comparativeness, like they have more than me, or they're better than me at this, and etc. But that's not the magical elixir. Like the elixir is how you feel, and that elixir, if you can do a headstand and you can be calm and relaxed, so that's pretty awesome. But it's no big deal. Or you could sit and be calm and relaxed, and it's just as awesome. Letting go of that easy to say, that competition and like wanting to be as good as, and accepting where you are in this moment as a starting point and as a place of presence, like right now. If you're here, you are now, and then you work from there. Does that answer that one?
Yeah, I'm with you there. Debbie, what else you got for Jean?
Yeah, so since I'm not in Hilton Head and I don't know much about like your studio and the types of classes, I'm a huge gym rat. And so first of all, I'd love for you to share with the viewers what type of yoga classes you guys offer, and a little bit about your instructors, like how many do you have, how large is your studio, that sort of thing.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. So we have primarily vinyasa flow classes. And what that means is a fancy word for movement. It's more dynamic breath and movement. It's like the up dog and the down dog. You've probably seen those pictures of that. Yeah. So it's more dynamic and more athletic. So we have a lot of that. Okay. And the breath combination with the movement helps create that sense of mindful presence while you're doing it, as opposed to just doing movement for movement's sake. So it makes it sweeter that way. But we also do have a lot of classes that are more foundational. So like if you were to come in and you didn't know what the heck was going on, it'd be a great place to start, and you learn the basic postures, like what is a warrior pose? I don't know. How do I do it? How do I get there? So there's a lot of that. And we have several restorative, relaxing classes, which are super important anymore, where you're supported up on like bolsters, there's blankets involved, there's eye pillows involved, and it's really chill out, which for some of us can be really challenging to turn off our minds, right, and relax. And then we have some classes that are more therapeutic in nature, like my shoulder or my hips, things that we can do to help increase range of motion and mobility. Whether you're an athletic person in tennis or running, you can use yoga as a complementary way to help, with all that range of motion. So we offer such a great variety, and that's what I feel has been our super strong point. So we get a wide variety of ages here, which is great. In the winter, we get a ton of snowbirds. The same people come every year. It's so cool. They're our old friends now. Like for 15 years, they've been coming to see us, and we are here to see them. So the studio in Hilton Head, we have 2 yoga rooms. And then Bluffton, our location, has 1 room.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah. So
great. Thanks for sharing that. And the reason I asked that is for me, and there may be other viewers out there that don't typically go to yoga classes. Like, I've actually been to 2, and I will say that those are probably the funniest 2 days of my entire life. And with that said, I do go to the gym often. And so when you think about the time that we're in right now, and I'll use myself as an example, I'm that person that was up at 5:30 going to the gym every morning doing classes, CrossFit, cardio, all of those various things. And now I'm in this place where I feel like I'm creating a habit of not being physical. So I'm having to force myself to figure out what I'm going to do. So what advice do you have for those who enjoy that physical therapy, but they can't get, not actually physical therapy, but physical exercise, that they can't actually go to this gym?
Yeah. And so like before, like you said, you'd get up at like 5:30. That's amazing because you had to. So even more important now than ever is to keep our schedule. And I'm sure everyone listening is keeping a schedule because you're on this webinar and you're learning and et cetera, but keep your component of exercise equally is important. So it fuels the brain. So maybe it's 5:30, you still get up and you go walk. I don't know if it's safe to walk around your neighborhood. It's dark. I don't know how that works, but something in your home where you can set up, maybe you have a stationary bike or weight machines and that sort of thing. But making it equally as important in the process of coming out of this whole situation, because it's a huge component of your life going into it, making it equally as valuable now.
Yeah. Well, and I can say too, just from the transition with, now I have 3 children at home. And so it used to be just my dogs I had to worry about. Now I've got 3 kids. So that 5:30 did roll off my schedule, right? I'm not getting up at 5:30 because it is still dark. And then I'm finding myself in that place of having to go find time to get that exercise. And so if I were to just ask you the question for resources, what resources do you follow or do you guys offer that maybe somebody that enjoys yoga could tune into at home and carve out that little bit of time during the day?
Super. Yeah. We have like 27 videos up right now on YouTube, which has been a really fun venture because it's new. But it's under Jiva, Yoga Hilton Head. So you got to get the Hilton Head in there. And Jiva is spelled Jiva, Yoga Hilton Head. They're free. We asked if people are really enjoying them and they want to contribute in any way. There's some ways to do that on there as well. But otherwise, there's like every style that we pretty much offer in the studio there. There's some short half an hour videos for y'all that have maybe a shorter span of time available. There's some hour-long classes. So we didn't get too long with those classes, but like maybe an hour. So it's a fun way to just kind of go check out and see what you think might strike your fancy. And see what you think. Yeah, and also on the yoga front, a lot of times people will say they've tried it once or twice and they're like, oh, it's not for me, right? So common. I mean, I've been there. So I always say if it wasn't for you, maybe you try it again later in a different style or a different teacher or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it a try. I probably will stick to the 30 minutes to start because I can only provide so much entertainment and humor for my children at short bursts. I have, and I know Bill and Ben's out there listening will laugh at this. So I have subscribed to some of the TikTok workouts, believe it or not. They run through the workout in like 15 seconds. I just have to write down the exercise, but there's some really good things there too.
That's
so
awesome.
My plug for TikTok for those people that pick on me for that.
Well, I will tell you, Jean, also before we get to the final question and then go into the exercise, is as you were describing the work that you guys do at Jiva, there was a moment where I saw Debbie perk up, and it was when you said eye pillows. So when you said eye pillows, that was the moment that I knew that we were going to be able to get her the next time she and her family come visit. We're going to be able to get her to come see you in person. So thanks for squeezing the eye pillow.
Yeah, we better have the eye pillow scented.
Very, very tactful. Okay, so I have a 2-part question that's going to lead us into the exercise. The first is about nutrition, hydration, sleep quality, stuff like that. So before I get to the question, I want to set it up by saying, those of you who are watching this, what I would recommend that you do is you go Facebook stalk Jean and her husband Ken, and look at how beautifully bright and shiny they always are. And I mean that in the most complimentary way. Is there's both in person a light that emanates from each of you, and then it's very clear that you take exercise and nutrition and everything that goes with that very seriously. So for those of us who are on the call like me, who might kind of fall in and out of that, what would be some just real quick pieces of advice that you would offer to people in that thread, please?
Yeah, like a huge one is drinking water. Lots and lots of water, hydration. That's a really big component. Eating meal, like diets are so all over the board. So I'm not like going to say eat a certain thing, but eat nutritious food, like close to the ground. Like when you grocery shop, it's possible shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Like you probably heard that before. Vegetables, fruits, grains, things like that. Get exercise every day, like move your body. Our bodies are made to move. They're not made to sit. And it's going to help us process stress so much more easily by moving our bodies, breathing fresh air, getting sleep. I'm an early to go to bed girl. So like I'm in bed by 9:30 at the latest. And so, because I like to be up early. So keep your sleep cycle, especially now, keep that consistent to what you normally do instead of staying up all night long online or something or whatever. So
Sure.
yeah.
Unless they're up watching this video, in which case they can.
Exactly. They can watch
binge watching MEC coaching videos. I love it.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure everyone is doing that right now, in fact. All right, so perfect. So Jean, here's a sec. Before we do this, Debbie, any other questions that you have for Jean before we transition to the next part of the conversation?
No, I think that's great. Thank you.
All right, perfect. So Jean, as you and I were prepping for this, we were talking sort of this combination of meditation and breathing and the importance of that. So I'm going to hand it to you to sort of take our crew through what your thoughts are on this, and maybe even a little exercise around it too, please.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, everybody. So if you're seated, stay seated, and come to a place where you can put your feet on the ground. So if your seat's kind of high, if you can get it low, so your feet are flat. If you want to stay standing, you can definitely stay standing, and just so you're in a comfortable posture where your feet can stay grounded, of course, because you're standing. That's a silly thing to say. So the goal is really to feel connected to something stable. All right. So if you're seated, feel your sit bones, like feel whatever you're sitting on the chair with, allow yourself to get kind of heavy. And just get a little bit more tall in your spine, wherever you are. So the spinal, like sitting in a nice tall posture, is going to really bring just a sense of connection to your whole nervous system. So as you breathe, especially now, they're even saying it's even better, but it's always been important, is to breathe through your nose. Breathing through our mouth is not the most calming and helpful way to breathe. So we promote a lot of breath through the nose in yoga. And when you're practicing meditation and mindfulness, breathing through your nose is really valuable, really imperative. So you might try that. It might be new for you to close the mouth and take some deep breaths in and out through your nose. And just the basics of breathing through your nose. Functionally, it heats the air that you breathe in. So it heats the air before it goes into your lungs, and it filters the air before it goes into your lungs. And it helps assist that process in your lungs. So just allow yourself again to feel your feet on the ground, whether you're seated or standing. If you're in a chair, feel a little more heavy in your hips and your sit bones. And again, sit up a little bit more tall. So what to do with your hands? You can place them on your lap. You can stack one on top of the other if that's more comfortable. Whatever feels comfortable and grounding for you. It's like there's no right or wrong. If you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. Some people don't like to do that. So you can set your gaze, your eye gaze, to something in front of you so you can soften your eyes. So in yoga, we practice what's called drishti. It's like the seeing of our eyes, where we look in different postures. As a way, it's like a gateway of our taking, and we're assimilating our experience through our eyes. And if we're assimilating that through a relaxed eye, it's more well received as opposed to a hard eye. If that sounds interesting to you, practice that and just allow your eyes to relax. All the muscles around your eyes relax. And here we are. Again, just bring your focus back to your breath in and out through your nose. And let your breathing be that one pointed direction, that one pointed focus. Relax your jaw. Relax your tongue and let it drop away from the roof of your mouth. And again, just let the focus of your attention be right here at the tip of your nose as your breath comes in and out through it. And bring some attention to like how you're feeling right now. We all come into anything we're doing with this kind of sense of momentum. Like we just got ourselves here, we've been seated, we've taken in this information, but just notice how that all is in your body right now. Maybe you feel some energy moving, maybe you feel, I don't know, agitated, or you feel curious, whatever that is, just notice whatever is there for you. And at the same time, keep the attention of your breath in and out through your nose. Get curious about where your breathing goes as you inhale. Like, do you feel expansion in your belly and your chest, or is it all really high in your chest? And practice every breath in, dropping it down into your belly a little more fully, a little more completely. Just keep that curiosity going as you inhale. Like, can you expand your rib cage a little bit more? Can you expand your back body a little bit more? And again, just stay with a focus on your nose. In and out, the breath comes. You'll start to notice a lot of chatter in your mind, perhaps. You're never going to calm that or make the mind stuff stop. It's just not letting it kind of take over, not allowing it to run your next thought. So as the thoughts come up, let them go as you exhale. And again, just take that deep breath in through the nose. And deep breath out through your nose. So I'm going to ask you to add one more component here. As you take your next inhale, hold the breath in. Could be for 2, could be for 4 counts, without any strain. And as you're ready to breathe out through your nose, do that and just completely empty. And do that a few times. Each time you breathe in, just take it in full to a comfortable level. Hold the breath in for whatever amount of time is comfortable for you. And then slowly breathe out. So do that twice more at your tempo. One more time. So that space that we're putting in between is really just physically creating a pause between your breath in and your breath out. In our practice of yoga, we call that kumbhak. I just love that word. It's like kombucha, but it's kumbhak. And it's practicing patience. So physically, if you start with creating a pause in your breath in and out, you're physically practicing being patient with your breathing, which can then segue into putting a space between your thought and your reaction. So it starts in the physical, and then you can transfer that into your mental world. So the more you practice that slow, deep breath, tiny bit of a pause, slow, deep breath out, you're physically practicing space between your thoughts, space between your action and reaction. So just practice that like 2 more rounds here. Good. Slowly start to open your eyes if they're closed. Maybe move around a little bit if it feels like you need to. And I'd love to see how or hear how this may have landed for you. Maybe it's new, maybe it's foreign, maybe it's not. I'd love to hear any comments. As Bill said, you can put those, type them in to the comments of this broadcast. But to see how that lands. And if you practice this, even if you start 1 time a day, 3 minutes, and if you have kids at home, this would be so valuable to just get them to practice. They will actually have a lot of fun with it. Just to create that great family bond of slowing down and connecting in a different way, and to see if that kind of has a positive reaction in your daily life with family too.
Yeah, it's great stuff. So I have a note that I wrote down, and then I have a really funny text that I'd like to read you that somebody who's watching this sent me as they were going through that. So the first is this idea of physically practicing being patient.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that important?
Oh my gosh. I'm not always been a really patient person. I wouldn't say I'm the best at it.
No one on this call is, so that's okay. That's why I asked. Yeah.
So because you stream the practice through your physical body. It's like a coach, like for your mind, because the mind is going to take over. It's never going to stop thinking until you stop thinking for good, right? So our mind is constantly this whirling dervish, unless we can create this anchor in our physical body. And so physically making myself sit down for 5 minutes can be like, what, right? Because I just want to keep moving. I want to keep doing. I want to accomplish. I want to keep reaching out to the world. But the most power comes when I can sit my butt down, take deep breaths, and feel what's going on in my worlds. And then I can come out to the world and have more patience with everyone else, because it has to start with me. Like my patience and self-care and love has to start with me. So does that answer that one?
That's great. Debbie, what observations or questions do you have based on that for Jean before we wrap up?
I'll just give my observation in that, I took the time, closed my eyes, worked through that exercise. I was able to like pop my neck. I felt my shoulders relax. It's like little things like we go, and just that little short burst of time to take a second and just focus and bring it all in. It didn't take an hour. It wasn't something that I had to schedule for. And actually I opened my eyes going, wow, I feel better. So I like that. I would definitely subscribe to encouraging all of you out there to just take that minute and
It's small.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm going to read this to you.
Get in any awkward position that everyone would laugh about.
No, not at all.
The text, Jean and Debbie, and you'll get a kick out of this. It says, "How did she know my tongue was stuck to the roof of my mouth?"
I can see. No.
Right. Yeah.
We do. It's what we do. Oh, yeah.
Right. It is. So since you are an all-knowing wizard of all areas, apparently, Jean, let's wrap with this. One of the things that we both know is that setting of an intention is a really important part of the work that you do. So maybe just a quick little comment about the importance of setting intentions, and then why the audience might consider doing something like that for a day or a period of time, or whatever you would recommend to them, please.
Okay, cool. At the beginning of each yoga class, we set an intention individually, but collectively, so you with groups of people, having intention setting is amazing. It's but it creates a focus, and for a period of time. It could be for the next hour. My intention is to feel my feet on the floor every time they touch the ground. So simple. So if we keep our intention settings really simple, so they're not really goals like I want to earn this much money or accomplish this. It's more like every time I see someone, I look at them in the eyes and I smile, or I consider the other person's position in life before I speak my position. Simple, tiny, little tangible goals that you'll keep building that muscle. So then they become so easy. They'll just flow out of you. I think they're really valuable. Yeah.
Well said. Debbie, anything else before we wrap up?
No, this has been great. Thank you.
Yeah, Jean, thank you for carving out your time to do this. Our intention, if you will, for this was to give people a bit of a change up, something to think about a little bit differently, something to cause them to be introspective and reflective about the way that we all do things, and maybe give them a few ideas to practice moving forward. So thanks for carving out time and sharing your wisdom. We really enjoyed having you here.
You're welcome. Thank you both.
All right. Namaste. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.